Hello, my fellow soldiers delivering liberty. This is Mloentje, and welcome back to Helldivers 2. 11 days ago, I made a video about the, basically back then, the best sample farm in the game. I got some clues from a random player saying, like, you need to do this on this specific mission, and that is going to be the most amount of samples you can get in the shortest amount of time, meaning the best sample farm. Now, I made a video about it, checking out if I could actually do it solo myself, like just run around, because the mission that we're talking about is Retrieve Essential Personnel. It's basically a 15-minute mission, but it's on a really small map, and the smaller the map, the more densely located those samples were. Now, I made a video about that, and I got a comment on it from Christopher Runk, and he asked me, did they silent patch this? Just ran 4 missions like this, and the sample farm is not like this. So that is exactly what I kind of want to do today, is test out if the sample is still the same, if you can still collect or find those like clutches of samples all together. And I kind of want to, well, check out some other stuff as well, like how many samples can we actually find on which difficulty tier, to check out which difficulty tier would be the best sample farm. Like, that is useful information as well. And then the third one, I kind of want to show you guys right now. So if we check out my menu here, you can see that my sample count is written here on the top, right? Now, apparently you can have this, well, I kind of tested it and it is actually fact. You can have this like visual 24/7 in the game while you're playing as well. But how you gonna get it visible is if you go to HUD, you need to put mission information visibility not on visible, but on dynamic. I know it kind of doesn't make sense. You would think mission info visibility always visible, right? That's how it works with everything else. But if you place it on visible and then sample count visibility also on visible, it kind of only shows up when you pick up a sample. Like, I know it's weird, and after you picked up the sample, it kind of fades away. But if you place mission info visibility on dynamic and then place the sample count visibility on visible, it remains visible on top of your screen. Like, it always shows you there's 20 comments you can find on this map, and you found 4. And that is really useful information while playing the map. Like, okay, we're missing a lot of samples. Let's go look around a little bit more before we extract, right? And especially early game, that like, you want those samples. You want to bring out as much as possible. So having it visible 24/7 is really useful. And here we go, tier 3, we can see that we only find 19 common samples, guys. So same planet, but 1 difficulty tier higher, which is the challenging. And we can see that we find 25 commons and 15 rare samples on this difficulty. We spawned in a really peculiar, we spawned right on a bug breach. Let's open this up. The credits, rare sample. So you can see on top now, guys, I actually can see 24/7. Like, we have 27 common samples and 16 rare samples. That is not a lot of increase between the previous difficulty. So challenging between hard is only 2 more common and 1 more rare sample. And I feel like that is definitely not worth it for the amount of enemies that might actually come behind you for the different difficulty tier. Now, here we do see a little bit of a change, guys, and you need to be careful with this, because it might be possible that Christopher Runk actually picked this mission up instead of the actual mission of 15 minutes. You can see this is an emergency evacuation, and this mission also has the Retrieve Essential Personnel mission. But it has a secondary objective in here as well, right? And this mission actually lasts 40 minutes. And because there is a secondary objective on 1 map, that means that the map is actually a bigger size than the map that only lasts for 15 minutes. And because the map is way bigger, that means the samples are way more spread out. So you definitely need to pay attention. If you want to go for the farm, you want to have the mission Retrieves Essential Personnel only, not something that looks like this where you have 2 objectives. So quickly gonna check if we can actually find this one.
The operation has failed.
Here we go. So
must
retrieve
try
essential
again
personnel,
elsewhere.
15 minutes. So we can see here on extreme difficulty, the amount of samples that we can collect did go up with a pretty big amount. So instead of the 27 commons, we can find 33 commons on the extreme difficulty. And instead of the 16 rares, we can find 25. So the difference between hard and extreme is like, it's really, really big. Like on challenging, we could only get 25 common and 16 rare. Like that is a huge increase. So it's definitely worth it to actually, if you just want to go for the common and the rares, it's definitely worth it to actually farm on the extreme difficulty. But now is the question, how much is the difference between suicide and extreme, right? Like if that difference is really, really big, then it's definitely more interesting to go on a suicide, where you can also get those super samples. So let's take a look. Emergency evacuation. So that is with like a shield symbol. We can see, okay, so that's the difference, guys. So the emergency evacuation, where we have retrieve essential personnel mission included, is with a shield, but the essential personnel mission is actually a shield with an arrow inside of it, and that is the single mission. So that's how you can actually detect which mission you kind of want to do. Like it is the dots with the shield and an arrow, not the dots with the shield. Okay, so there is a difference in the symbol itself. Okay, suicide. Let's go in.
The drop near system.
Let's see how many samples we get for suicide. 38 common, 25 rare, and 3 super samples. So we're only seeing an increase in 5 common. We get the same amount of rare, but we do get those 3 super samples. Now, again, this is, if we look at the map and we scroll out, you can see there's no water in here. So this is the biggest map you can get on an actual small map. Like there's no water here, there's no rivers. Like this is the biggest map, so this is gonna be the most amount of samples you can actually find over here. Yeah, look at that. Like look at the difference. Like the previous map was like a completely open map. There was no water at it. This map has no water, has only water around it. Like this is the smallest map you can get. But the amount of samples you can find on this map is way, way lower. So the sample amount does scale with the size of the map. And that is what kind of, well, that is indeed what Christopher Runk was saying. Like they silent patched this. So we do see an increase, guys. Like we've got, what is it, 40 instead of 38 commons. We got 30 instead of 25 rare. And we've got 5 instead of 3 super samples. So actually not bad of an increase. Like, and it is even like this map could be bigger because we still have like a water. It's kind of completely filled out, as you can see. So this might actually be the biggest amount of samples that we can get. Like previously we saw kind of a little bit of water in between there, but now that we look at the map, it's like completely filled out, right? So this might be the max amount of samples that you can find on impossible difficulty. An increase of 2 common, an increase of 5 rare, and an increase of 2 super samples. So that's actually not bad. And here we are at Helldiver difficulty, guys. And we see 40 common, the same amount as impossible. We see 35 rare, so that is an increase of 5. And then 6 super samples. So only an increase of 1 super sample and 5 rare versus Helldiver or impossible. Now, if you look at the map, this again is a completely full map. So this is the max amount of resources, the max amount of samples you can actually find on Helldiver difficulty. Now, is this gonna be worth it for the amount of enemies that are gonna spawn all around you and constantly try to, well, prevent you from actually getting your super samples? I don't know. Anyway, guys, this was kind of an update on my sample farm video. And I'm gonna sample farm a little bit. Like, every time Hassan gets teleported to my ship, he's like, oh, your ship is still empty. It's like, shut the hell up. Like, I still need to work on my ship modules, guys. I got the first ones done, but as you can see, like 41. Like I got 41 rares, but it's 80-40 for this one. That's probably gonna be 80-40 or 160, something like that, and a couple super samples. Again, for this one, 80-40. So the biggest amount of farming that you are gonna need to do is the rare and the rare and the common. That is gonna be the biggest farm you're gonna need to do. Like again, 80-65. I got that covered. I got that covered. Probably gonna need 10 for this one. So let's see. 10 for this one. 20. That's 25. Let's say 35. 35. Let's say 45. 45. Don't need any for this. And then I have everything. So I'm done with the almost done with the super samples. Like I need, let's say 5 more super samples or 4 more. But I need so many common and rare samples. So yeah, those are the bigger farms. So if I would say, well, I need common and rare, I basically for myself, I would farm extreme. Like that is the biggest amount of common and rare that you can get. And it is almost, well, I wouldn't say double, but in challenging is 25 rare, 25 common, 15 rare. Extreme difficulty is 33 rare, 33 common, 25 rare. So that is pretty big. And then from suicide, we can see those bile titans, we can see those tanks, right? And it basically only is an increase in 5 common. That's it. We get the same amount of rares. So yeah, extreme if you go for the lower tiers, and suicide if you go for the higher tiers. Anyway, guys, this is gonna end up in my video here. Hope this information was a little bit useful. That's kind of what I was trying to do with this video. And yeah, if you want to see more content of Helldivers here from me on my channel, or any other game that I might be playing on my channel, just hit that subscribe button, guys. It would always help out a lot. I do hope you enjoyed this little rant of mine, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Now, if you wonder, are there still like spots where everything can be found like together? Well, here's the evidence, guys. Like I'm farming, what is it, extreme right now? And yeah, as you can see, that's 5, 6, that's 8 in one location. So these locations do remain on the map. You can still find them. But I do have to say, if you look closely on my map, this is a like really rocky area. So the amount of mass where buildings spawn at is actually pretty low. Let's put the map away. And let's continue our farm. And yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up here, guys.